we're in a pocket.
We're in a dead baby.
What's with that? No, that's not okay. What the?
Oh no.
A dead baby pocket?
Pocket of dead baby.
That's not all right. On February 16th of 1808, troops led by the French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte invaded the Kingdom of Spain, and thus the Peninsular War, a critical period of the Napoleonic Wars, was commenced with the blood of Spaniards and Frenchmen alike. A vicious and inherently lethal brawl for dominance in philosophy, war itself is a horrible mystery to many of us who have not seen it for ourselves. Why it seems to be a necessary evil and how it is perpetuated in modern colonialism genuinely bothers me. Of course, now we can glimpse the atrocities of military combat through the internet, but in eras past, wars merely transpired, and only those who set foot on foreign shores with weapons in hand could know what took place. Over the course of 5 years, over 1 million people were killed in Spain, and fearing the relapse of delirium, hallucinations, and ceaseless tinnitus, artist Francisco Goya made The Black Paintings, a series of 14 pieces that reflect sincere pessimism towards humanity and the violence it inflicted. The paintings depict warped, horrid faces and muddled brown strokes. Occasional peaks into a pale blue sky are dragged down to the bleeding earth. The faces and their bodies retch and war and croon as their tight, claustrophobic positioning creates a collective isolation. The looming backgrounds of suffocating browns and closing skies other the subjects from their surroundings, as though they're in a world they do not fully understand. The most famous of the paintings by far is the viscerally haunting Saturn devouring his son. A work depicting gods instead of men captures the raw, frightening aggression of a selfish act, consuming one's own child for fear of prophesied downfall, an act so vile it's unimaginable in any context besides war, where vile brutality is a given, where fathers kill sons because of ideology and fear. Goya saw the results of Napoleon's campaign himself. He painted these onto his walls. So why is this still very funny to me? This is a meme, a humorous image or video or blah blah blah. You watched the last one. If you missed the first lesson, just say so. Go back and watch it. Everything we talk about today will be based on previously laid foundations. Wow, it's so echoey in here. I guess it'll be fine. I'll get some padding. Hey, hop on that Patreon and I'll get some padding for the walls so it doesn't bounce. I don't feel like I'm screaming at myself in here. I'm looking at the lesson plan here. All right, come on. You know technology. If you didn't already look at it while I was on my phone call, take a look at it now. And I'll just, from the top, give you a little rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. Starting from the top, and this is right on the syllabus plan, okay? If you pull up Moodle, it is on the Moodle. Starting from the top, the original 19th century mural, and 19th century refers to the 1800s because years 1 through 99 were the first century, or 1 through 100 I should say. And then you got 101 through 200, and that's the second century, right? So it goes forth like that. So the 1800s, 1801 through 1900 was the 19th century. We're not even a whole sentence deep, we've already got a tangent. This is gonna be a long one, folks. The original 19th century mural is a violent... What? Fuck. I can't read. I can't read today, guys. I can't read today. I mean, how was your weekend? Let's just talk about your weekend. How was your weekend? You guys get the reading done over the weekend? I mean, you said you went to the lake. Did you read at the lake, or did you just hop on a boat? Yeah, you hopped on a boat. It's okay. Look, it's okay. It's okay. I didn't finish the reading either. Clearly. The original 19th century mural is violent, painted in a rough and ready romantic style featuring mythological characters, but adapted to illustrate a unique perspective about the relationship between gods, humans, and shame.
Oh no!
This painting is then Photoshop magic wanded, blended, file opened, and placed into this wholly unserious mockery of artist intent that is reminiscent of Milton Glaser's Glaser?
Milton Glaser.
Okay. That is reminiscent of Milton Glaser's nostalgic and unironic I Heart New York merchandise, which bled into Mindwom-esque mug/coffee culture, and then we're full circle from sincerity to irony to post-irony to maybe a little bit of meta-irony, all in one image.
Not the stuffy one-layer kind of irony that you probably learned in English class. No. I'm more interested in something much deeper. I'm interested in the 2 layers of irony. We're talking about post-irony and meta-irony.
Post-irony. This is where you say something in a way that makes it sound like you don't mean it when you actually do mean it. Meta-irony is where this gets fucked. This is where you're saying something sincere, but the context could imply that you're saying it ironically, yet the thing that you're saying is actually sincere thought. If this doesn't make sense, that's because it doesn't make any sense. It's meant to confuse you.
Some say post-ironic subtext is a staple of the alt-right. Some say go fuck yourself, not everything is about you. Because as much ironic subtext and deep understanding of newfound internet culture is needed to understand these memes, it's also not that deep. They certainly aren't critically analyzing these memes like some certain pretentious assholes.
Other keywords, violence in media and dark humor, anti-jokes. It says that in the script. Other keywords, blah, 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 and that too. And that too, and that too, and. That's a lot of buzzwords. So we're gonna take those one at a time and explore further as the need arises. So firstly, what's unique about this meme in particular? I should have had these put up already. I don't feel like doing all that again, so you're gonna get a little... Now that I fixed this up, Napoleon. We only have room for Napoleon, sorry. We have another N down here. We got Mr. Peanut devouring the baby Peanut, which was his successor after Mr. Peanut died in an infamous Super Bowl commercial.
That was when I ruled the land.
Yeah, dead, like that in front of millions. The largest TV audience that America has to offer. And it actually is a really good parallel to the myth that inspires Saturn Devours the Sun, in which Saturn is so paranoid of a myth that the fates give him, that one of his sons will kill and usurp him, that he begins eating all of his children. And this is a depiction of that. And then we have Michelangelo, or Mikey, from the beloved and famous Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, eating a slice of pizza as they are known to do. I think it doesn't have as much comedic punch as Mr. Peanut. Wait, Dilbert should be in here somewhere. Dilbert, you son of a bitch. So the humor in this one is more the subversion of the violence of the original image rather than an allegorical connection. Mikey never creates pizza, nor do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fear the presence or uprising of pizza. They are just avid consumers of the delicious cheese, wheat, and tomato sauce dish. If you haven't had pizza, you should really try it. What's the motherfucker's name? He's got a dumb little name. It's like Scott Adams or some shit. Scott Adams. Woo! Easy game. Life is an easy game. I suppose this is a bit of an inversion, isn't it? My personal favorite, corporate minimalist art style version of Saturn Devours. There's not really a, well, let's get into it. I feel like, right? So this is sort of, I create God. I am God. Yeah, so previously we talked about Are You Winning Sisyphus, which is based in the global west, whatever the fuck that means. And it's a weird thing about human knowledge. You can't remember not knowing something. And I know that at 64, I can't remove knowledge from my head, but I can forget. So, brains are weird. And the nature of it being so widely known lends itself to iteration and adaptation, which does dip into like fair use law. And this painting was made like what, 200 years ago? It's well within the public domain. And the public domain is the reservoir of human creation that we can use in merchandise, video making, photography, any sort of art form to make money ourselves. To use something that is not in the public domain or that you haven't created yourself, you need to get explicit permission from the creator unless you change it in a meaningful and like substantial way. This is a massive controversy and issue on YouTube, the very platform that we're on, about music, about stock photos, about using footage from other people's videos in commentary videos.
Creators have the right to determine how their work is being used, and taking someone else's copyrighted photos or videos and using them commercially, without permission, without criticism, is not fair use under the law, even if loads of other people have already used them, even if you add some words on top of them. Even if you mash them up with 3 other things, are you 100% sure that you are transforming or criticizing the original, not just using it? I know you're 100% sure that a court would agree with that. Just to repeat, I'm not saying this is how it should be, I'm saying this is how it is.
Tom Scott is Nebula Gang Gang, so I don't want to disparage Tom too tough. But how it is bad. So on one end you have like your, I don't know, anime FMV kids.
Everybody knows that I'm breaking down. Everybody knows I ain't faking now. Everybody knows my heart's breaking now. Yeah, she hates me now. I made mistakes, but now.
The destruction of that creative spirit is heartbreaking. When like, I couldn't imagine, you know, you're 15 years old and you make a cool anime video. You want to share it with your friends and your friends go there and it says this video is blocked in your region. But like the WWE, who are legit just harassing creators, are very much within the realm of fair use because they don't really care about the law. They just want to see if they can take your shit. And anybody that has ever done any type of content around WWE will say the same thing, that they're just bullies. It's just frustrating how disempowered we are on this side of the equation. You don't have the money to get the license, to get the equipment, studio time, etc., then you can't do that art. That sucks. That is, I think, antithetical to making art. Corporations like YouTube and a lot of these other entities, and even just our legal system, for the sake of, I don't know if it's litigiousness, I don't know if it's laziness, I don't know if it's just an absence of understanding, they create these one-size-fits-all rules. And when that rule doesn't effectively apply to your situation, then your situation becomes the problem. I shouldn't be abiding by the same exact rules in my content as a white supremacist. That is fundamentally fucked. Where's the line of demarcation? What can YouTube do about it? Do they want to do anything about it? No, that's the scary part. What is this? So this was real? This is a real piece of art? You can do this like corn on the cob.
So there's this kid, I need to explain. So some of the green things I will not be explaining because there's this wonderful child who exists in the world who I met on Twitter. His name is Yannick.
Anybody want some wool?
And he lives in the UK and he made a video analyzing a different meme. And he sent it to me because I had made a video like this before. And he was like, hey, just wait, I want your cosign on this. How's this look? Pull up this kid's channel, 5 subscribers. Like, who the fuck is this, man? This is out of the woodwork. It's an hour and a half long. Editing needs work, but the content is so good. It's so spicy, so well written, like graduate level writing. Just phenomenal fucking shit. And I was like, hey, the video was funny. I think you should do it like a bit part in my video. I think that'd be fun. I sent him a picture of this and I'm like, everything in green, what do you want? Just pick a thing, go for it. Whatever interests you. And he sends me back this picture. So I thought it'd be like a bit part. Do you want more than a bit part? Like, are you just saying like you're interested in all of it? Like, what do you want to do? So he'll explain.
Coffee is a stimulant diuretic. It's a drug that alleviates tiredness from the consumer. It's become an element of the stereotypical working male who has it before an arduous day at the office. This stereotype, the average adult male of first world societies, particularly but not exclusively the UK and the US, is normatively the neutral, the protagonist, the centre of the world. The function of coffee forces the worker to leave the comfort of their home and prepare for the working day, which society has completely built its norms around. Don't talk to me until I've had my coffee has a background existentialism to it. Like, the speaker cannot meaningfully or sincerely engage with the world until they've physically altered themselves to be compatible with their job. Within this norm, coffee is consumed and the phrase is uttered by the father of the nuclear family.
I'm about as excited as I am drunk.
And she is plastered.
The dad's the breadwinner and the coffee's the elixir enabling his input. The horror from this existentialism arising from realizing one's destiny is limited to strictly the office job parallels the horror from the context of Satan devouring his son. Women are normally presented as coffee drinkers too, but not so that they can work. They don't drink pure black coffee, they have it diluted, removed from purity as a latte, or with ice, or with pumpkin spice. More recently, coffee and women have been attached via the cafe, a space of leisure, rather than the office, a space of supposed productivity. The suburban viscose Starbucks millennial of the early 2010s is the most prominent recent example that comes to mind. The mother of the nuclear family drinks wine, a depressant diuretic. It's consumed to unwind the mother after a hard working day minding the household, as opposed to coffee preparing the nuclear father for a day of supposed productivity. This is particularly ironic when, despite the closing gender gap in high-risk drinking, historically, alcohol and the real-life father figure have gone hand in hand, the progenitor of all too many domestic abuse cases. The consumption of coffee in the mornings and wine in the evenings has been so baked into these stereotypes that jokes and memes fully take advantage of them. Assuming the phrase "don't talk to me until I've had my coffee" into one's personality is fertile ground for mockery. Someone doing this makes them seem like a bit of a jackass, a bit plain, because they're claiming something that is so ubiquitous as something that is personal to them. There's a false individualism, presuming it's a marker of identity, and it is, but it's not a particularly exclusive one. Gloating that you're a wine mum is just an indicator of suffering under the capitalist model, articulating the nuclear family's individual roles in exhausting work culture. This is why it's easy to make fun of people that embrace diuretics as a part of their personality, and why the phrase in question, or why wine mum minions memes, are common targets, let alone the fact that they're normally sincerely expressed by people that are not media/meme/internet literate in the same way as those that are part of the core online community that births cultural tokens like the average meme.
Hey everyone, don't talk to me till I've had my coffee. Nice and fresh. Hey Jan, don't reply to me. Didn't have it yet. That means you have to shut the f*** up.
This othering, or even the more subtle othering in just presenting a meme, a cultural token of identity to those that aren't necessarily in the same in-group, is a characteristic birthed from conservative and or alt-right subcultural language communities. Something that pervades the use of memes as a pseudo-language and even influences the semantic content of certain memes, like the Chad X versus the Virgin Y or the Alpha Beta Sigma templates. I doubt that the coffee dad/wine mum critiques have come from these specific subcultural language communities though, as they tend to, as you probably know, uphold more traditional beliefs, which usually includes this aforementioned ethnocentrism and heteronormativity. We've even seen other memes recall or criticize snippets of this faux utopic Americana, for example, "Don't talk to me or my son ever again." When the darker corners of these subcultural language communities fall too deep into this mindset, othering starts to manifest physically, oftentimes with horrific consequences.
So there's people in here now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in here. Big deuce. Una, Claire? Kieran. That's my lovely wife who's not gonna be in the video. Because I realized very quickly that I communicate a lot better when I have an audience, when I have a classroom to speak to. Because when I just speak to that, I speak like an idiot, bro. You wouldn't believe. All right, welcome back. Everyone get a snack, bathroom, do the thing. Okay. We were talking about swallowing whole. What we have here pictured is a Photoshop rendition of Saturn from Saturn devouring his son, painted by Francisco Goya. But obviously there is a significant change. The sun in question that he is consuming rather violently has been supplanted with a mug that says, "Don't talk to me until I've had my son," in a sort of post-ironic mug culture joke, as though it's quite funny and normal that people eat their children and that you shouldn't bother him until he does that, because that's a necessary part of his daily routine. You have a question? What's up?
I was just gonna ask if you can slow down because my brain is smooth.
Okay. I can do that. What you can do in Photoshop is you can take a pre-existing image and either render another image on top of it, or you can alter the image itself. So that's something that is sort of new in the world of art, relatively speaking. 21st century primarily, but obviously photo editing and film editing existed well into the beginning of the 20th century, but not as meaningfully as fully removing like core aspects of images. It's not often that you get to actually communicate with a person that creates a meme, but a collaborator of mine actually did find the person who made this meme. And I asked them very pointed questions of just like, does this have meaning? What's the inspiration? And for all of them, he ostensibly said, "I thought it was funny, lol."
I think any is X art conversation is ultimately one of gatekeeping, to the degree that I don't really think art is a meaningful term. People just want art to mean something that is good to me because I'm smart. So in that context, no, I don't think memes are art. LOL. I think it was just a stupid thought that jumped into my head. No larger context or meaning.
I view memes as like something that people put artistic energy and effort into, therefore they are art. They just aren't recognized as such because they don't have a capitalistic value. But Photoshop serves to basically enhance this image for the bit. And this is something that like haunted a man in the dying years of his life. So even knowing that, I still think that this is a funny bit.
So, do you think Goya was maybe making his own meme when he put that in the dining room?
It is kind of a funny bit, isn't it? It's kind of like if you walked in someone's house, it's a fantastic fucking question, babe. That point in consideration, I do think that doesn't make this any less artful. That doesn't make this any less impactful. That he might himself have done it for his own personal bit or to intimidate and amuse his friends. So just following some arrows, the meme industry is basically reliant upon photographers just not filing lawsuits and just like being chill about it and being fine. Like at any moment, a photographer, like a Hide the Pain Herald guy, could just be like, "Oh, that's me," and the photographer be like, "Yeah, that's my photo." Clean the internet of that shit. All of it gone. And they're probably within their legal rights to do so, which is horrifying. Also, objectively interesting that it hasn't happened yet. The reason that is the case is because basically if you create something, you want people to view it in a certain way. Very, very infamously, the creator of The Bean, intended to be named Skygate or Cloudgate, one of those, the creator of it hates that people call it The Bean, despises it, with like no limit of vitriol, hates that people think it's just a funny little bean that they get to walk up and flick. To him, his artist's intent is more important than the audience's perception of what he made. Welcome to the other side of my office. That guy, Anish Kapoor, who made The Bean, He's also the guy who made Vanta Black and made it exclusive for his creative purposes. He legally registered the color as something that he owns, so no one else gets to work with it. So that's who we're talking about. That's the kind of dickheadedness in the art space that we are sort of covering. He's just a jackass and a bad artist. You can make good art and still be a bad artist. And one time he actually coated the bean in Vanta Black, which sort of, I understand he's sort of doing a cross-promotional thing, but that removes the entire attraction aspect of the bean, that it's reflective of the city and the people in it. Vanta Black is devoid of reflection, like that's the entire point, so I don't know why you would do the antithesis of the meaning of your work to your work, but maybe we're just different people.
Point.
Violence in media.
Oh God, man, okay. One of the things that I realized is sort of contextually necessary about this painting. So the full painting is like 4 feet tall, so I imagine it's a lot more visceral of an experience to actually walk up on it. Seeing it just printed out, or if you pulled it up on your computer, I don't think you would immediately be horrified, because we, as people who live in the internet age, have seen worse shit. But there is a sort of depiction that violence in media is a new thing.
What's changed in this country? We've always had guns, we've always had evil, but what's changed where we see this rash of shooting? And I see a video game industry that teaches young people to kill.
That artistic expression or creation in media that is inherently violent, that has blood and gore and guts, is this new thing that's corrupting today's youth, when that is just a response to war. Like, that is just a response to the real life atrocities that people experience and see, and we express that. And that is what is objectionable, not the act of committing war, of committing atrocities, of committing heinous acts that are violent and destructive. This isn't bad. This is for conquest, this is for diplomacy or philosophy or whatever, but this is bad.
In every movie, there is no movie without a bomb or at least a smashed face. We are all enjoying it. When it really happens, we say, oh, we're shocked, we're shocked. It doesn't work like that, life.
Clearly, the atrocities of war had a much more lasting and severe impact on an individual than a kid playing a shoot 'em up in an arcade or in his own home. That is not to say that kids that play Call of Duty aren't annoying as shit. They gave microphones to the kids and that was their first mistake. So, following arrows again, we'll work backwards from mug culture, wine culture, up into Ben Glazer. So Ben Glazer is the guy who designed the I Heart New York logo. I realized like 2 days ago, just Apollo throwing a fucking volleyball at my head. There's no fucking way this wasn't graffiti that he saw on the street. No fucking way. A committee came up and they're like, we miss modernism, dude. The 70s suck. The 70s are blowing New York up, bro. We need something to liven the place up. Brilliant idea. I love New York. Just throw money onto this thing. Mugs, shirts, all of it. We're gonna invent new industries with this. But I Heart New York is obviously a prime example of like just pure unironic modernism. I am saying what I believe, and I expect you to then agree with me. I love New York. This gets inverted over time into ironic t-shirts and mugs and things that you put in on your bathroom wall. Ostensibly, these are the same joke, right? Like, don't talk to me until I've had my coffee is the same as it's wine o'clock. Like, it's all about, I have a problem, but I'm making it funny. In the same vein of like irony and post-irony, we do have the structure of memes themselves. The number one does so much heavy lifting here, where it's like, we know that someone faked the mistake of adding a 1 instead of an exclamation point. But in a sincere way, someone could be on Facebook and see this meme and they just are like, I like Minion meme. But someone who understands that it is in fact stupid and likes it because it is in fact stupid and enjoys it for that purpose. It gets very, very hairy and very, very dicey communication-wise, yes.
Something that I've noticed about these Minion memes is that older generations don't know that it's really funny and stupid to us. And so my grandmother will send me memes like this on her email, and she'll email it to our entire family group chat. And it is really, really fucking cute. But oh man, But she has no idea that me and my little sister are like laughing our ass off.
Yeah. But she wanted you to laugh your ass off is the thing.
Right,
That's
not
what's
the way
interesting.
that
Yeah.
I'm laughing.
I guess, is there a difference?
Right.
Yeah. Is there like a functional difference for the people, like inside, of course, but in terms of how you interact with the people who send it to you, is there a functional difference?
Have you looked at the relationship between Hallmark holiday cards, comedy ones? Today I saw one my mom thought was hilarious. It was candy corns coming out of a unicorn's ass. But it just rang a little bell. Yeah.
No, 100%. That's identical, yeah. Apple cider. I've realized that I want.
What is the difference between dark humor and anti-humor when consuming this content?
That's a really good point, actually. Okay.
Thank you, it's your point.
So.
Can you define both of them, please?
Well, I think it's important. So, because on paper, this is not a joke. This is actually a very cruel and awful thing to say because of the nature of the subject matter. Like, it is about eating your children, which is not okay. It's not an okay thing to talk about. It's not an okay thing to joke about. Like, objective. If this was a news story, not funny. It's not. So, so I feel like the quintessential dark joke is like, why the chicken crossed the road to get to the other side. That's an anti-joke.
The chicken must first cross the road.
There's no punchline, right? Why else would it cross the road to get to the other side? And there is definitely a time period where that was the type of joke that people were serving up. And then there is the dark joke. So I feel like growing up, I feel like teens really like these, like your tweeners even, where it's like
like the dead baby joke.
Boom, there it is. Do you remember a dead baby joke?
I have one.
Yeah, let's hear it.
How many dead babies does it take to paint a wall?
I don't know.
Depends how hard you throw them.
Oh no.
It's a little funny. How are these getting disseminated? Where did you grow up? Okay, so I grew up in Alabama. I heard the same fucking joke.
I grew up in Michigan. I heard that joke.
The same fucking joke.
I grew in California. I heard the same joke.
The same motherfucking joke.
Yeah.
Like,
Have we discovered universal truth?
who started this? It's like, one, who started this? Two, how is it cross country? Like, three, does this speak to some sort of like universal understanding of like comedy? Like this, like, are we nationally that twisted?
Well, we're back to dead baby, right?
Literally back, bro, back to dead baby. Back to dead baby.
Well, hold on. We're connecting dots here because comedy tends to come from things that we're like afraid of, and we're laughing at them so that we're like less afraid of them.
Yes.
Like, one of the great fears of like human existence is that your progeny is going to die.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also interesting too because like I'm a bit older than you guys, so I heard that joke when I was like in elementary, middle school, which I was in well before you were in elementary and middle school. And you're still hearing the same joke like years later in different locations. Like that's.
And I'm sure my 13-year-old sister is probably hearing the same joke.
Yeah.
And she's in middle school.
I am currently texting
And laughing her ass off.
to see if she knows any dead baby jokes.
Yes, ask. Oh no. If she knows that
That's
joke.
my sister.
Let's get a poll. Let's see if this works.
How about our parents?
I don't want to fucking ask.
Who
I'm
has
asking mom right now.
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, yeah. Someone has to have a cool mom. Okay, if you have a cool mom.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Okay, we're doing some field testing. I'll run over a few green. Oh, okay. So something I did want to briefly just touch on, just because I think it's sort of interesting. It's just like an aspect of the meme. The set of paintings that he painted in this period are called the black paintings. There's like 12 or 13 of them, and they're seen as like just basically some of the saddest fucking paintings that were ever painted in the history of mankind. And this is gonna sound pedantic, but I do think it has some value. I think it's weird that they're called the black paintings, and we have people that we refer to as black people, and like black is inherently associated as a negative word, to the point that these are like the bleakest paintings and the most dour, bad, don't look at these paintings, excluding like the actual oppression, excluding the systematic racism and laws and gerrymandering. They have to overcome the baseline of how we describe you is with the word that means bad. It's just weird to me.
He has not heard dead baby jokes. I told you.
Okay.
My mom said
My sister said, I said, do you know any dead baby jokes? She says, dead baby? And I go, yes. She says, let me think.
Oh, so we're gonna get it.
So I got,
maybe.
she said maybe, yeah.
But I think she's like Googling it now, so I think we've discovered that we were in a window.
We're in a pocket.
We're in a dead baby.
What's with that? No, that's not okay. What the fuck? A dead baby pocket?
Pocket of dead baby.
That's not all right.
Oh no. My niece asked me, laughing emoji. Tell me it.
No.
She asked.
No, it's Bart. No, don't tell her.
If she doesn't get it from me, she's gonna go get it from the street.
That's-
You're widening the pocket.
I am. Oh no, she's gonna tell everyone at middle school.
That-
I will say there was this is how it happened. A worse pocket of jokes that I was in because I grew up in a very Jewish area, and as a Jew, there was a segment of time where a bunch of us Jews were doing very in poor taste Holocaust jokes.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
It's
because-
COVID.
Yeah. We're like, how many Jews can you fit in your car? How big is your ashtray? Yeah. I'm not proud of it.
So something that could be intellectually stimulating for you guys. I reached a point where I was in my sort of analysis where I was looking at like, okay, so this was created by this guy, which was inspired by this, which was inspired by like this war, and then this guy who had his own issues, and it, on and on and on and on and on, until I sort of came up with this hypothesis like something is always in response to something else. Postmodernism in response to modernism, et cetera, et cetera. So everything, every culture, every movement is always a response to something else. That is how we progress as a society. That is how communication works. That is how, just the structure of human civilization. So you trace all that back, and eventually you have to come to the conclusion that nothing is something. And that just doesn't sit right with me. I just kind of want to share that with you, that like, the concept of nothing has a property of being something.
Did you cover all of Rome and humanity? Yeah.
I did not cover all of Rome and humanity, unfortunately. Every single Roman deity I think I was supposed to cover in length and just slap it in.
Cover at least the weird man eating his child.
What emotion does this evoke?
Is hunger the wrong answer?
Unease, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's like disturbing.
Mhm.
Yeah, disturbing.
The emotion that I see in this is like shame. Like you caught him in the act of this. Like you walk in and that's what you see, and he's like, ah, shit. No one's supposed to know I'd be crunching back here. I've been telling everybody I swallowed them whole, but nah, this shit's difficult. And this process evokes shame in me, because it's like a whole. It's like, this is like me, this is my brain. I'm being like vulnerable with these people, and like, what if they look at it and they're like, this is stupid and pointless. There's a sentence I need to say.
There is. Say the line.
Say it for me. It's that energy of juxtaposing a morning coffee with the primal and vicious killing of one's own god spawn. Here's the issue. Juxtaposing doesn't hit the same, does it? No. The deterioration of content over time. Consuming your morning coffee with the killing of your own god spawn is like the most fucked up thing that someone could say. They're both consuming something. They're both consuming something that they think that they need, that they must do. Ask me that question again. I'm gonna fake it. We're faking authenticity. No, we can't. And the consumptive urge of Saturn, the consumptive urge of someone drinking coffee, it's not as different as I think we want it to be, because it's just like your brain says do something, and then you do it. Oh, wow, what does this say? So I wrote, speak extemporaneously about the struggles of the poor sod who fucks a silicone vag, mirrored by the Herculean effort performed by Sisyphus as a form of cope. The consuming of this content, like the consuming of these people watching me do this, making a fool of myself, making like this fucking show of like trying to spill my brain onto a fucking whiteboard. Their brain sees me bounce around and be funny, and it's like, I like that, I'll keep watching that. I like power, I want to keep power. I like feeling awake. Very reasonable things, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. An addiction. An addiction. Like, it's all the fucking same. And there's just something kind of relatable.
Adobe and the democratization of
The kid will explain that.
technology. Okay, cool.
The kid,
It's real. No, it's really, really good. He does a great job explaining that.
Do we get to eat him at the end of the video?
The kid?
FR stands for two things: for real and French Revolution. Goya lived in a Spain that still embraced / appropriated the hedonism and exoticism of Eastern culture imported by colonialism. That imported culture came in the form of food, spices, other fancy plants, and people, ripped from the ground and thrown into Western spaces as the West infiltrated theirs. This links with the still present romanticization of imported delicacies, especially in today's English-speaking countries like coffee and pizza. Goya was more than disappointed by this. Not the coffee and the pizza. He clearly thought that Western intellectualism was superior to Eastern aesthetics, distorted by Orientalism. The depression arising from this, as well as, more importantly, Spain succumbing to France as a result of 1808 and 09's Peninsular War, led to the Black Paintings. Goya's the bridge between the old masters and modernism, and his Black Paintings carry a lot of influence present in modernist works after his death, particularly in Expressionism. I'm tripping over my words, I'm speaking too fast. This is the coffee. This is the coffee doing. I'm not gonna act like I know everything about art history, so I'm just gonna explicitly lay out my intentions with this part. How, over the last 200 years, did mainstream Western media evolve to get us from Satan devouring his son to don't talk to me until I've had my son? The easiest explanation for this is simply technological development. There was a clear shift in the evolution of style from the moment the camera was invented. Works became more abstract as the camera could capture reality more objectively than any painting could. Eventually, photography became an art medium in its own right, followed quickly by film. The arrival of the internet didn't necessarily close off any era or movement like the camera did, but it did provide artists with new tools for expression. The internet itself was a tool to create tools. And well before even a quarter into the 21st century, in a space saturated with communication, we have so many avenues for self-expression. Images, including historic paintings, can now be digitized. Any digital image is subject to any of these avenues, which means they can be edited as lightly or as heavily as so desired. The obfuscation of truth is an obvious potential consequence, but that's a whole other can of worms. We've reached a point now where we've made tools to create art for us, instead of using any of those tools ourselves, which has recently sparked debate on the integrity of art made by artificial intelligence.
Most people's understanding of machine learning and code in general is below a preschooler's understanding. I don't mean that in a mean way, I just mean in a like, one, none of this is taught. Two, there's a massive amount of misinformation because it's really beneficial for marketing. One of the biggest problems that comes out of this, I'm just gonna go right into it, is the conflation of algorithms with intelligences. See, machine learning is a part of the field of AI, but calling machine learning algorithms an intelligence, an artificial intelligence, is a bit like calling a zebra zoology. It makes no sense. So when we talk about machine learning and deep learning art and neural net designed art, what we're talking about is not an intelligence creating something. And this is really, really important for the ethical problems involved for a variety of reasons. The easiest way I can explain it is if we start defining algorithms as intelligences, every single machine learning algorithm is a mass murdering event. The first algorithm you actually read is your value metric, which is basically just, if it does this, good. And that's what we're going to test against. And then we make a second algorithm, and this algorithm randomly alters to try and find the one that satisfies the value metric the best. This is also important because if we're going to talk about, like, is AI art, we need to really be asking, what do we mean by AI? And what do we mean by, like, ownership? Now, if it was a true intelligence, absolutely the art. But it's not. It's a bit like saying 2 + 2 = 4 is an intelligent being. It doesn't make any logical sense. It is just a really, really, really complex function that, given input, gives output. The way you test a value metric is by having training data. And this is where our actual ethical concerns lie with AI art. Algorithmic art requires pre-existing artists' work to exist. And a lot of times, this training is done pretty much illegally. I don't give a shit about copyright. Fuck copyright. But acknowledgement of an artist's work is really important. Like, some of these algorithms are so bad about it that you'll put in certain prompts, and because the artist regularly signs their work in the same position on the image, right, it will still have some of the signature on the image that's generated. I do think it is worth people taking a minute to really just start trying to understand what it actually is doing, because I think part of the problems that a lot of people are approaching it like it is generating something new.
So if it is all, not if, since it is all reliant upon the input data and everything that comes out is a direct response to what comes in, why is it still bad at fingers?
One of my professors back in the 90s doing the first image processing work, there isn't a ton of data that is digitized at this point, right, image-wise. So the data set that they have is American and Russian tanks. They put this data in, and it's supposed to sort, is it an American tank or is it a Russian tank? And each image will be marked with whatever you want, and then your value metric is like, if American equals American, you did good. If Russian equals Russian, you did good. They run it. They get a 98.2% correct. That's too fucking good. Like, it's too good. It's doing too well, right? Like, its value metric is way too high for what our machines should be capable of at this point with the algorithms we have in everything. They had to do a really extensive, unfun process of trying to determine what it's doing, because machine learning algorithms are black box, and they don't function like a human being solves a problem, because, again, they are just random data thrown at a wall until it sits in the configuration you want. And what they found was that it had been trained to test the color of the sky. 98.2% correctness, because almost all the Russian tanks were shot with gray sky, and almost all of the American tanks were shot with a blue sky because of the location of these bases. Why? It satisfied the value metric. It satisfied the value metric enough.
For the most part, though, digital arts has become a primary avenue of self-expression for those in the internet age. The various popular programs by software company Adobe is an example of these tools. They made Photoshop, which can edit the content of a digital image. Premiere Pro may be used to make a video, Acrobat helps engage with documents, Illustrator provides everything to digitally paint something from scratch. They all exist under Adobe's Creative Cloud. They're not the only way to create digital art and or memes, depending on how you define them, but it's widely regarded as the standard. It's used for many popular high-quality YouTube videos, including those that we've cited from Mad Carrying Thing and Nerdwriter. It's virtually as ubiquitous as coffee in the workplace, but we can't forget that it's still a sign of class. Shit's expensive. Even if I could pay £16 a month for Creative Cloud, my computer's not good enough to run it, and it's unlikely I'm going to be able to afford a new one anytime soon. It would actually be a bit of a waste considering there's nothing else particularly wrong about my PC. I mean, the keyboard doesn't work, so I have this, but I digress. Arts discourse, memery, whether you're a spectator or a more active interlocutor, it's a privilege, but it's forgotten in such a saturated era. Memes are consumed at such a rapid rate by the average member of X social media that it's easy to forget that real people made each one. If we've got AI art now, I wonder how long it'll be until we get procedurally generated memes. Compared to something of high production quality like Nerdwriters or Man Carrying Things videos, many memes are cheap cultural units that are usually discarded very easily, like Minions memes, which just are stock photos with a filter and text slapped on. They get swallowed up in all that content and lose their identity when they're shared so much. This is why creators of viral TikTok songs and late 2010s cloud rappers usually fade into obscurity fairly quickly. Lil Nas X seems like a great example of an exception to this because he's both part of the online memetic community and big music. We can see his understanding of this in his marketing of sincere artistic expression by interweaving it with the rules of memetic language, usually via TikTok and Twitter. Nerdwriter's video is his because he imprints himself on the video's content, though your average meme is both owned by everyone and no one. Memes made using specialized photo and editing programs like Our Subject are methodologically separate from cheaper memes, but they're consumed in the exact same way. Have you ever made a meme, published it, and then took it down because nobody cared for it? Am I just outing myself as someone that has no friends? Don't talk to me until I've had my son is a token of expression that is socialized. It requires an audience participation to thrive, to truly exist, while Satan devouring his son is more holistic in expression. Everything that Goya intended to say was said, and interpretations, speculation, and examples of exerted influence are consequences separate from the initial expression. Only the preceding context really contributes to understanding it. Artists can't tell the future, I mean, no one can, which is why art that anticipates future movements is generally regarded and valued as high. Meanwhile, the average internet meme is a medium specifically attracting engagement that builds off of what is initially expressed. That purpose runs parallel or even supersedes any deeper personal expression. All right, class, homework for today is... Nah, I'm kidding. Back to you, Kolpesh.
It's been over a month since the first time I tried to film this. And this has been on my mind for just too long. These take so much time. What do you feel like you learned? Did you learn something? Are you gonna send this to 3 of your friends? Is Twitter dead so you can't retweet it? I didn't do a great job sort of wrapping up points and making a final conclusion, at least not chronologically. And most everything on the board got explained. I never really told the myth of Saturn devouring his son. So what happens is Saturn is a Titan in Greek mythology, and Saturn receives a warning, a foreboding message from the fates that one of his children will kill and usurp him. So Saturn, being a Titan, sort of panics.
I shall not be usurped. I am a Titan, a god above gods, and I will not be made a fool. As they arrive, I will devour each and every one. And Kolpesh the yardstick is first.
And then swallows them whole. This happens several times, more than several, I'd say quite a few even. But he doesn't chomp on them like in the Goya depiction. They actually live in his stomach until his wife, so sick of his sort of antics, his scheme, tricks Saturn and feeds him a large rock instead of a baby, and that baby is Zeus. Zeus grows up to kill and usurp Saturn, and as Saturn dies, the other siblings erupt from his stomach and create the pantheon of Greek gods that we now know and understand, that are most incredibly and like beautifully depicted in the Hugo Award-winning game Hades. All right, I believe I'm about to do something drastic and dramatic for your entertainment. So, enjoy that. And fucking... Even me. All right, you're all free. Thank you for participating. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my patrons who paid for half of this whiteboard. They know what part of it is theirs. Actually, I can just throw up a picture. But their names are right here. If you want to watch something else like this and you didn't listen to me at the beginning of the video, you can click right somewhere. You can click there, I guess, to watch the first time I did this. But also, you should subscribe because I'm the greatest. I don't believe that. Why did I say that? I mean, like deep down, I think I do believe that. But it's not the kind of thing you say in public. So I feel like I'm not making a case for myself. So yeah, if you want to see what Patreon money does for me, it all goes back into this. So if you want different color markers or not to hear an echo in this room, you should hop on the Patreon, and then you can stop complaining about it. Or I can stop pretending like you're complaining about it. Okay, bye. Why are you still here? I like actually need to erase this now. Okay, thanks. Here, I'll let you watch. Alright, let's clean it up.
Go home.